Welcome back to the Wild Bearing Podcast. Today I have a guest on, Daniel from Salty Boys Fishing.
How's it going, guys?
Repping the Salty Boys Fishing shirt today, as well as the Wild Bearing hat. Today we're going to focus on fishing, all aspects of fishing. But first, I'd like to introduce Daniel. Hey, Riley. Dan's Riley. Came to join us today. She's real friendly. We'll start out. I wanted to ask Dan, just to break the ice a little bit. What's your first memory fishing? Who took you fishing? What kind of drove your passion for fishing?
Yeah, funny thing is, I went fishing only a few times growing up. I was about 6 or 7. My dad took me on a charter boat, and I caught what I thought at the time was a really big mahi-mahi. And after that, I kind of didn't fish until I was about 16. And jumped right back into fishing and haven't really stopped.
Nice. What were you fishing for, or growing up, or when you started really getting into it at 16?
Yeah, so when I got back into fishing, I got a little 16-foot boat, and really I was targeting inshore species out of Central Florida. So things like red drum, mangrove snapper. Those were kind of the main target species in my area that I was really fishing hard for.
Nice. So you didn't do a whole lot of freshwater fishing. It was more saltwater.
No, up until recently, I'd probably only been inshore fishing 3 or 4 times.
Okay.
It was really, I just focused on that saltwater fishing.
Nice. Do you have a favorite memory, or just a memory that stands out of a fishing trip you went on, your biggest fish or something like that?
I have to think about that one. I would say some of my favorite memories were, honestly, on the more dangerous side looking back. Probably wouldn't do it, but we'd take this little boat out into the open ocean, 10 or 12 miles. And as a little 16, 17-year-old guy, I thought it was very safe and cool. But, just kind of pushing the limits of what I could do with my resources was kind of some of my favorite things to do.
Yeah, just an adventure in it.
Yeah,
Nice.
Definitely always never know what you're going to hook up onto when you're saltwater fishing. So that's kind of what I really enjoy about it.
Sounds pretty wild to me.
Yeah.
All right. Wanted to have Dan on today to bring some, education to the viewers on fishing. So asked him to kind of give some advice to all of you listening. So Dan, I know you make your own rods. What's a spectrum of rods? If somebody's just getting into fishing, what kind of rods can they look for? And if somebody's more advanced, what kind of rods, can they look to get as they're increasing in their fishing abilities?
Yeah, I really think that my philosophy, honestly, is that you don't need to spend a ton of money to go out and catch some fish. So realistically, starting off, you should be going to Walmart and getting some ugly stick rods, something cheap like that that's very affordable. Make sure you like fishing, and then as you progress, if you want, some fine-tuned things. If, say, I'm fishing for mangrove snapper or red drum, you can get a custom rod builder to specialize it based on what kind of lures you're throwing, how heavy the line is. But realistically, starting off, you don't need a custom rod unless you want one. So
nice, yeah. So you can get started fishing fairly cheap.
Yes, I have a couple of videos actually on the channel that kind of break down the budget a little bit more in depth of all the basic things you might need to get started, including links at them. So you could definitely get fishing for less than $100.
Right.
So,
and Salty Boys Fishing on YouTube is a great place to go figure that stuff out, right? Because it's for fish or poles that you can get. You show how to tie certain fishing knots.
Yeah. So Salty Boys Fishing, we kind of have a blend between entertainment as well as education. So primarily we have entertainment videos, us going out, doing different adventures, catching fish. As well as integrated in those is some good learning objectives on how to tie knots, how to fix things with your boats, how to build custom rods. And we have those broken up into different playlists. So we have fishing tutorials playlists. So if you're just getting started, check that out.
Awesome. Yeah. So what kind of, based on your experience, you do, and Dan told me before the podcast not to call it deep sea fishing, it's offshore fishing, because I don't want the haters coming after me and eating me up, because I say that. But so you do a lot of offshore fishing, or just like fishing off the bay, mostly saltwater. So what kind of like baits, lures do you use for that?
So that's a loaded question. So pretty much you're going to have to, in Florida, I'm using this type of lure and this kind of live bait for this type of fish. And then I move to Virginia and we go to get the same fish and they don't like that bait. So here out of Virginia Beach, we troll using a lot of nomad diving lures if we're going for tuna, as well as we might just troll some cut bait with some skirts. I have some more info on that on the channel, but really I would say the biggest advice is you got to go out and you got to try the area. Some days I go out and I won't catch a thing. And, you're just trying new baits because every single area the fish are going to like different lures. So I wish I could give you the magic key, but
Right. Yeah.
I'm still looking for it.
I mean, a lot of what you do is like networking out and like talking to other fishermen out there, seeing what they are using, or like going to a local bait shop, right, and being like, hey, like what are people coming in and getting?
Yeah, I definitely think Facebook groups are a great resource, and just kind of meeting people. A lot of fishermen really like to share their passion, so go down to the local pier, start talking to some of the locals that have been fishing this area for their whole life, and they'll kind of give you an idea what to use, and from there you can tweak what you want and make it your own.
Nice. So when you're out fishing, what sort of things do you look for like a good place to throw the line in the water?
Yeah, great question. So a lot of my research is done beforehand. So I'm looking at charts which are showing me depth and kind of what the ground looks like if all the water is taken away. So I'm kind of mainly looking for structure. So whether that's artificial or if it's natural, like a natural coral reef you might look for. And I'm also looking for drop-offs in depth of water. So say we go from 50 feet to 25 feet and then back to 50 feet really quick. I know that we have kind of like an underwater mountain, and those are kind of what I'm going to be looking for. So fish are going to kind of like to feed along structure or along kind of like cliffs, underwater cliffs. So I really follow that, as well as I'm looking for water temperature. So you have to look for where the warmer water is, and that's going to help you determine what depth you're fishing, as well as you got to look at the pressure in the air. The pressure is going to affect if the fish want to eat or not. So those are kind of what I'm looking for. Throw it in to my GPS on the boat, and then once we get out there, we start using the sonar, and then it kind of gives us a graph of the bottom. And again, we're looking for peaks and valleys on the graph, and that'll kind of help us find where the fish are.
Nice. So how does weather affect whether or not the fish will be biting? Like, or even that, like you talked about pressure, is like higher pressure, lower pressure good? Is rainy weather versus like sunny weather? Like, how do those things affect you going out or the fish biting, I guess?
From my experience, which comment below if you guys had different experiences, but before a storm, like the day before a storm, typically I have really good fishing. And then the day after a storm, I typically don't have good fishing. And that also depends on if you're fishing offshore. I think that the weather affects you a little bit less because those deep waters don't get affected by temperatures easily. But when you're inshore fishing, the water temperature can change a couple degrees,
right,
as well as, the water can kind of get mixed up with a lot of heavy rainfall, and that's going to make it hard for the fish to see. So
that'll stir up the bottom and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So most of the time, I actually have better luck when the water's not crystal clear and the sky is overcast, because when the fish can't see, they kind of mistake your lure or your live bait, and they kind of hit it a little bit more aggressively because they don't want to miss it. But when it's clear, they can kind of they're smart, so it's clear water. They'll see your lure and they'll be like, I'm not going to bite that. That's just my experience.
Okay.
Comment below what you guys have noticed.
Yeah, for sure. All right, so I want to talk a little bit more about your company, Salty Boys Fishing, because Dan's not only inspiration just for to kind of I guess encourage others to get out and fish and stuff, but also Dan's YouTube channel just got monetized, which is a huge deal. Pretty cool thing. You hear people all the time. You tell someone you want to try and start a YouTube channel, and they dog on you, and like, oh, you're never gonna make that happen. But Dan, how long before you guys got monetized?
Well, we just got monetized a little last month, and that would have marked a little over 4 years of posting videos on and off. So
Yeah.
I would say the biggest thing for going out is go out and give it a try. It sounds cliche, but go out, film the video, practice your editing, kind of figure out what you like to do. Everyone's got their own personality.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of your personality translates to the kind of videos you make.
Right.
And try to stay consistent. The first 2.5 years, I was kind of just posting whenever I could. In the last year and a half, I really doubled down, trying to post very consistently, and I think it's been helping a lot.
Yeah, definitely has been paying off now, huh? Very cool. Yeah, do you want to just talk about where people can find you, just on social medias, whatnot, I know, or your website and that sort of thing? Or what you have to offer on your website?
Yeah, so primarily we have our YouTube channels where you're going to find the most amount of information and content, as well as we have a TikTok and Instagram. All those can be dropped in a link below. Our website, saltyboys.fishing, is mainly going to be getting fishing apparel and gear out there at an affordable cost. So right now we're actually revamping the website, going to get some high quality apparel out there, and then from there we're going to be trying to, eventually sell our own rods, sell our own lures, and sky's the limit.
Yeah, for sure. And that should be up tomorrow, right?
We're going to make sure it's up by the time this video is dropped.
All right, awesome. Good to hear. Cool. So, yeah, I guess, do you want to just end this off and talk about the last piece of advice you want to, give or encouragement you want to give to the viewers and listeners?
Yeah, I'd love to. So I'd say fishing is a great way to get outdoors, build friends, build just amazing memories. And you can't do it by sitting at home watching YouTube videos. You should go fishing and then come back and watch our YouTube videos.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, just get outdoors. Make sure you guys are keeping the ocean and the land clean. And just give back more than you take from the ocean.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Good advice. Yes. Like we said, while bearing, we want to be learning and connecting virtually, but in the end, we want to be, living a virtuous life of our own outside of the internet. So, I just want to thank you, Dan, for coming on to the show, and that's what the Wild Bearing's all about is coming together and learning from each other, but also giving back to the communities we've learned or we've enjoyed ourselves. So, thanks for coming out.
No, thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. Stay wild, Bearing. And we'll see you next time.